Jake Morrison wiped the sweat from his forehead as he checked the mining equipment one more time. The sun was setting over Haven Point, casting long shadows across the rocky landscape. He had been working on this planet for 3 years now, and every day felt the same. Wake up, check the machines, mine the crystals, go to sleep. It was not exciting, but it paid well. The mining colony sat in a valley between 2 large hills. 200 people lived here, all working together to dig valuable crystals from the ground. These crystals were worth a lot of money on Earth and other human worlds. The work was hard, but the people were good. Jake liked his job and the friends he had made. "Jake, you ready to head back?" called Lisa Parker from across the work site. Lisa was the head of security for the colony. She was tough and smart, and everyone respected her. She carried a weapon on her hip and always kept watch for danger. "Almost done," Jake replied, closing the panel on the large drilling machine. "This old thing has been making weird noises all week. I think we need new parts soon." Lisa walked over to him. She looked worried about something. "Have you seen Pete today? He was supposed to check the North mining site this morning, but he never came back." Jake frowned. Pete was one of the newer workers, but he was reliable. Maybe his radio broke? Those old units don't work well near the crystal deposits. "Maybe," Lisa said, but she did not sound convinced. "This is the 3rd person this month who has gone missing during their shift. First it was Carol, then Danny, now Pete. Something is not right." Jake felt a chill run down his spine. He had been so focused on his work that he had not really thought about the missing people. "Do you think there are dangerous animals out there? Or maybe cave-ins?" Lisa shook her head. "We checked everywhere. No bodies, no signs of a fight, no cave-ins. They just vanished. The only thing we found was scorch marks on some rocks, but they don't look like anything our equipment makes." The 2 friends walked back toward the main colony buildings as the sky grew darker. The colony was built like a small town, with living quarters, a medical center, a dining hall, and workshops, all connected by covered walkways. Lights came on automatically as night fell, making the place feel safe and warm. Far above them, invisible to human eyes, a large ship moved silently through space. The ship was sleek and black, with technology far beyond anything humans had ever built. Inside the ship, tall figures with gray skin and large eyes watched the human colony through advanced viewing screens. "The prey moves in predictable patterns," said Commander Vex Thalen, the leader of the hunting party. His voice was cold and emotionless. "They work during the day, return to their nest at night. They are perfect specimens for our collection." The creatures aboard the ship were called Kithara. They had been traveling the galaxy for hundreds of years, hunting other species for sport. To them, intelligent life was nothing more than entertainment. They had hunted dozens of different alien races, but humans were new to them. "Their technology is primitive," said another Kithara hunter. "They use simple tools and slow vehicles. This will be easy." Commander Vex Thalen studied the humans on his screen. "Do not underestimate them. Our scouts report that humans are adaptable and resourceful. They may be weak individually, but they work together well. That could make them more interesting to hunt." The Kithara had been watching the human colony for weeks. They had learned the work schedules, the guard rotations, and the layout of the buildings. The 3 humans they had already taken were being held in special containers aboard the ship, studied like insects in a laboratory back on the planet. Jake and Lisa entered the dining hall, where most of the colonists were eating dinner. The mood was quieter than usual. People talked in small groups, and many kept looking toward the empty chairs where the missing workers should have been sitting. Dr. Sam Rodriguez, the colony's doctor, walked over to their table. He was a middle-aged man with kind eyes and steady hands. "Lisa, I finished looking at those rock samples you brought me. The scorch marks are definitely not from our equipment. The energy pattern is completely different. What do you think caused them? Jake asked. Dr. Rodriguez sat down and lowered his voice. I don't know, but whatever made those marks uses technology we don't have. The energy was focused and precise, like a weapon. Lisa leaned forward. A weapon? But who would be out here? We're the only humans on this planet, and we've never detected any alien life. Maybe we just haven't been looking hard enough, Dr. Rodriguez said. Our scanners are designed to find crystals, not life forms or advanced technology. Jake felt his stomach turn. The idea that something was hunting his friends and coworkers was terrifying. What can we do? We're just miners and engineers. We don't have military training or weapons. We have each other, Lisa said firmly. And we have tools and machines that could be used for defense if needed. The first thing we need to do is change our work schedules. No more people working alone. In remote areas, Dr. Rodriguez nodded. I'll set up a better communication system. If someone doesn't check in every hour, we'll know something is wrong immediately. That night, Jake lay in his bed staring at the ceiling. He could hear the normal sounds of the colony, the hum of generators, the distant clatter of machinery, the quiet conversations of people walking by his window. But now these familiar sounds felt different. They felt like the sounds of prey animals trying to stay safe in a dangerous world. High above, the Kithara ship continued its silent watch. Commander Vex Thalen was pleased with the progress of the hunt. The humans were beginning to show fear, which would make them more careful, and therefore more challenging to catch. The real hunt was about to begin. The commander looked at his collection of captured humans in their containment units. Soon, he would have many more specimens to study. The humans had no idea what was coming for them, and that made the hunt even more satisfying. In the morning, the colonists would go back to work, and the Kithara would be ready for them. The game was just beginning, and the hunters were confident. They would win. After all, they always did, but they had never hunted humans before. 3 more people vanished over the next week. Despite all their precautions, the mysterious disappearances continued. Jake Morrison worked frantically to improve the colony's communication systems, but it seemed like whoever was taking people had technology that could block their signals. Lisa Parker had organized the workers into teams of 4, with strict orders that nobody should work alone. But even that was not enough. Yesterday, an entire team had gone missing from the eastern mining site. This time, they found more than just scorch marks. Dr. San Rodriguez knelt beside the abandoned mining equipment, carefully examining the scene with a handheld scanner. The energy readings are off the charts, he said quietly. Whatever hit this area used more power than our entire colony generates in a day. Jake looked around nervously. The mining site looked normal, except for the missing people and their equipment scattered on the ground. How can something just make 4 people disappear without leaving any trace? Advanced technology, Dr. Rodriguez replied. Look at this. He pointed to a piece of metal that had been part of their drilling equipment. This edge is perfectly smooth. It was cut by some kind of energy beam, cleaner than anything we could do with our tools. Lisa studied the area with the eye of a security professional. They were taken from here, she said, pointing to a spot near the equipment. See how the ground is disturbed? Something landed here, took our people, and left. The question is what and why. Far above them, aboard the cloaked Kithara ship, Commander Vex Thalen watched the humans investigate the latest capture site. He was pleased with how the hunt was progressing. The humans were showing the proper amount of fear and confusion, which made them more interesting prey. The specimens are adapting faster than expected, reported one of his subordinates. They have changed their behavior patterns and are working in groups now. Good? the commander replied. Prey that learns becomes more challenging to catch. It will make the final hunt more satisfying. In the ship's holding area, 12 humans were kept in special containment units. The Kithara had studied them carefully, learning about human anatomy, psychology, and behavior. Most of the captives were unconscious, kept sedated by alien technology. But one of them was awake. Tony Blake had been a combat engineer in the Earth, military, before coming to Haven Point. He had volunteered for the mining job because he wanted a peaceful life after years of war. But his military training had kicked in the moment he was captured. Tony had been pretending to be unconscious for 3 days, watching and learning. The Kithara were tall and thin, with gray skin and large black eyes. They moved gracefully and spoke in a language that sounded like whispers and clicks. Their technology was advanced, but Tony was beginning to understand some of it. The containment units were powered by a central energy source. The doors were controlled by touch panels that responded to Kithara hand patterns. The ship's gravity was artificial, created by rotating sections. Most importantly, the aliens seemed to think their prisoners were too primitive to understand their technology. They were wrong. Tony watched as a Kithara technician checked the containment units. The aliens' movements were routine, bored. It never occurred to the creature that a human might be studying its every action, memorizing the control sequences, and looking for weaknesses. Back on the planet, Jake Morrison was working late in his workshop. He had been trying to build a better scanner, something that could detect the advanced technology that was hunting them. His hands moved quickly as he connected wires and adjusted settings on the device. Jake, you need to get some sleep, Lisa said as she entered the workshop. You've been working for 18 hours straight. I'm close to something, Jake replied without looking up. The energy signatures we found at the capture sites have a specific pattern. If I can build a scanner that detects that pattern, we might be able to see them coming. Lisa sat down beside him. She looked tired and worried. 17 people are missing now. At this rate, we'll all be gone within a month. Maybe we should evacuate the colony. Jake finally looked up from his work. Where would we go? Our ships are not designed for long-distance travel. We'd have to call for help from Earth, and a rescue ship would take months to get here. We'd all be captured before help arrived. Then what do we do? Jake held up the device he had been building. We fight back. This scanner should be able to detect their technology. Once we know where they are, we can try to rescue our people. Doctor Rodriguez entered the workshop carrying a tray of food. I brought you both something to eat. And I have some news about the missing people. What kind of news? Lisa asked. I've been analyzing the medical records of everyone who was taken. They're all in perfect health. No medical problems, no injuries. And they all have different skills. Engineers, geologists, pilots, technicians. It's like someone is collecting a specific type of person. Jake frowned. You think they're being taken alive? I think they're being studied, Dr. Rodriguez said. Like specimens in a laboratory. The question is why? Aboard the alien ship, Commander Vex Thalen was asking himself the same question. The humans were proving to be more interesting than expected. They were adapting to the threat, changing their behavior, and working together to solve problems. Most species simply ran in panic when the Kithara began hunting them. Commander, called one of his hunters, the humans are building new technology. Our sensors detect energy patterns similar to our own equipment. Vex Thalen studied the readings with interest. Impossible. Their technology is centuries behind ours. They cannot possibly understand our systems. Nevertheless, they are attempting to detect our presence. Should we eliminate them now? The commander considered this. The safe choice would be to destroy the colony and take the remaining humans as trophies. But where was the sport in that? The challenge was what made hunting worthwhile. No, he decided. Let them try. Their primitive attempts will fail, and watching them struggle will make the final victory more satisfying. Back in the colony, Jake's scanner suddenly began beeping. He looked at the display with excitement. It's working. I'm detecting something in orbit above us. Lisa grabbed her radio. All teams, this is security. We have contact with unknown technology. Everyone return to base immediately. Jake watched the scanner as the signal moved across the screen. It's big, whatever it is. And it's been watching us for a long time. Dr. Rodriguez studied the readings. The energy output is massive. How have they been hiding from our regular sensors? Advanced stealth technology, Jake replied. But now we know they're there. The question is what we do about it. Tony Blake, still pretending to be unconscious in his containment unit, had been listening to the Kithara conversations. He was beginning to understand their language and their plans. The aliens were planning a final assault on the colony. They had been taking people slowly to study them, but soon they would attack in force. He had to warn the others. But first, he had to escape. Tony had been studying the lock mechanism on his containment unit for days. The Kithara hand patterns were complex, but he had memorized them. When the next technician came to check on the prisoners, Tony would be ready. The hunt was about to change. The Kithara thought they were the predators, but they had never faced humans who were prepared to fight back. They were about to learn that humans were not just another species to be collected and studied. They were about to learn that humans were dangerous. Tony Blake waited in the darkness of his containment unit, every muscle in his body tense and ready. The Kithara technician approached with the same bored routine it had followed for days. The alien's long fingers moved across the control panel, checking the life signs of each prisoner. When the technician reached Tony's unit, he struck. His hand shot out through the small gap in the containment field, grabbing the alien's wrist. The creature hissed in surprise, but Tony was already moving. Years of military training had taught him to act fast and hit hard. He twisted the alien's arm, forcing its hand onto the control panel in the exact pattern he had memorized. The containment unit opened with a soft hiss. Tony rolled out and grabbed the stunned technician, covering its mouth before it could raise an alarm. The alien struggled, but Tony was stronger and more desperate. Within seconds, the creature was unconscious. Tony looked around the holding area. 12 other humans were trapped in similar units, all unconscious except for one. Maria Santos, the colony's backup pilot, was stirring in her containment field. Her eyes met his, and he saw the same determination he felt. Working quickly, Tony used the alien's hand to open Maria's unit. She stumbled out, weak but alert. "How long have we been here?" she whispered. 3 days from me, Tony replied quietly. "We need to move fast. I've been studying their ship layout, and I think I know how to cause some serious damage." Maria nodded. "What about the others?" Tony looked at the remaining prisoners. "We'll come back for them. But first, we need to make sure this ship can't attack the colony." The 2 humans crept through the alien corridors, staying in the shadows. Tony had memorized the ship's layout during his captivity, noting the location of key systems. The Kithara were confident in their technology, but they had made one crucial mistake. They had underestimated human determination. Back on the planet's surface, Jake Morrison's scanner was working perfectly. The alien ship was clearly visible. On his screen, moving in a slow orbit around Haven Point, but something else was happening. The ship's energy patterns were changing. "Lisa, look at this," Jake called out. "The alien ship is powering up. I think they're preparing for something big." Lisa Parker studied the readings with growing alarm. "Can you tell what they're doing?" "It looks like weapon systems coming online," Jake replied, "and they're moving into a lower orbit. I think they're planning to attack the colony directly." Dr. Rodriguez rushed into the workshop. The seismic sensors are picking up massive energy buildups. Whatever they're planning, it's going to be big. Lisa grabbed her radio. All units, this is security. Command, we have an incoming threat. All civilians to the underground shelters immediately. Defense teams to your positions. Jake looked up from his scanner. Defense teams? Lisa, we're miners, not soldiers. What can we do against that kind of technology? We do what humans have always done, Lisa replied grimly. We adapt, we improvise, and we fight back. Aboard the alien ship, Commander Vex Thalen was growing impatient. The humans had detected his presence, which meant the slow hunt was over. It was time to collect the remaining specimens and eliminate any resistance. Prepare the assault teams, he ordered. We will take the colony by force. The humans have proven more interesting than expected, but the hunt ends now. But as the commander gave his orders, alarms began sounding throughout the ship. Emergency lights flashed red as system after system began failing. Tony Blake and Maria Santos were moving through the ship like ghosts, using the aliens' own technology against them. Tony had found the ship's main power distribution center. His military engineering training told him exactly which systems to target. He began rerouting power from the weapon systems to the life support, causing massive overloads throughout the ship. Maria, meanwhile, had reached the navigation center. She could not read the alien language, but she understood the basic principles of spacecraft control. She began entering random commands into the navigation system, causing the ship to veer off course. What is happening? Commander Vex Thalen demanded as his bridge crew struggled to regain control. Unknown system failures, Commander, replied a technician. Power fluctuations throughout the ship. Navigation is completely offline. The commander's large black eyes narrowed with rage. Impossible. Our technology is perfect. There must be sabotage. But how? The only other life forms on the ship are the unconscious prisoners. Vex Thalen suddenly understood. The humans. They are not as primitive as we thought. Find them and stop them. But Tony and Maria were already moving to their next target. The ship's communication array was located near the central core, and Tony knew that destroying it would prevent the Cathara from calling for help. On the planet below, Jake Morrison was watching the alien ship with amazement. Lisa, you need to see this. The ship is losing altitude and spinning out of control. Something is happening up there. Lisa looked at the scanner readings. The weapon systems are offline. The ship is in trouble. Dr. Rodriguez joined them. Could it be a mechanical failure? Or sabotage? Jake said thoughtfully. Some of our people are on that ship. Maybe they found a way to fight back. Lisa made a decision. All teams, change of plan. The alien ship is in distress. This is our chance to rescue our people and capture their technology. Prepare for a ground assault when that ship comes down. The colonists had never been soldiers, but they were smart and determined. They began organizing themselves with the efficiency that had made their mining operation successful. Jake rigged explosive charges from their mining supplies. Dr. Rodriguez prepared medical equipment for wounded colonists. Lisa coordinated defensive positions using their heavy machinery as cover. Aboard the failing alien ship, Tony Blake reached the final target, the ship's central computer core. He had been studying the alien technology for days, and he finally understood how to shut down their entire system. Maria, get back to the holding area and free the others, he called out. I'm going to crash this ship. Are you crazy? Maria replied. We'll all die in the crash. Not if we use their escape pods. But first, we need to make sure this ship can never hunt anyone again. Tony placed his hands on the alien control panel and began the shutdown sequence. The ship's artificial gravity failed, sending both humans floating in the corridors. Emergency lighting flickered on and off as the ship's systems died one by one. Commander, Vex Thalin finally understood that his perfect hunt had become a disaster. The humans had turned his own technology against him, and his ship was falling. Toward the planet's surface, the hunters had become the hunted. All crew to escape pods, he ordered. We will continue the hunt on the planet's surface. But as the Kithara crew scrambled to abandon their ship, they found that the humans had sabotaged the escape pods as well. Only a few pods remained functional, and there were more aliens than available seats. For the first time in their long history of hunting, the Kithara felt fear. The ship crashed into the rocky hills outside Haven Point with a sound like thunder. The impact shook the entire colony, but the humans were ready. They had turned the tables on their hunters, and now the real battle was about to begin. Tony Blake and Maria Santos stumbled out of the wreckage, followed by the other rescued prisoners. They were battered but alive, and they had brought valuable intelligence about their captors. The aliens are not as tough as they think, Tony told Lisa as the colonists gathered around the crash site. They rely too much on their technology. When that fails, they don't know what to do. Lisa smiled grimly. Then let's teach them what humans do when we're cornered. The hunt was far from over, but now the humans were no longer the prey. The wreckage of the alien ship burned in the early morning light, sending black smoke into the sky above Haven Point. Jake Morrison stood on a ridge overlooking the crash site, watching through binoculars as strange figures moved among the twisted metal. I count at least 20 of them, he reported to Lisa Parker through his radio. They're trying to salvage equipment from the wreck. Lisa's voice crackled back through the static. Tony says there were about 50 Kithara on the ship. Some must have died in the crash, but most are still alive. Jake adjusted his binoculars and focused on the aliens. They were taller than humans, with gray skin and large black eyes. They moved with fluid grace, but there was something desperate about their actions now. They don't look so scary when their ship is burning, he said. Dr. Sam Rodriguez had been working all night to treat the rescued prisoners. Most were weak from their captivity, but all were alive and recovering. Tony Blake and Maria Santos were helping to coordinate the colony's defense, sharing everything they had learned about the aliens. The Kithara are hunters, not soldiers, Tony explained to a group of colonists gathered in the main hall. They're used to having technological advantages over their prey. Without their ship and advanced weapons, they're actually quite vulnerable. Maria nodded in agreement. Their society is built around the idea that they're superior to other species. They've never had to deal with real resistance before. Lisa studied the crude map Tony had drawn of the alien ship's layout. What kind of weapons do they have now? Personal. Energy weapons, mostly, Tony replied. They're powerful, but have limited range. The aliens also have some kind of portable shielding technology, but it drains their power cells quickly. Jake entered the hall carrying a strange device he had, built from salvaged alien technology. I've been working on this all night. It's a jamming device that should disrupt their energy weapons. Dr. Rodriguez examined the device with interest. How does it work? The alien weapons operate on a specific frequency, Jake explained. This device broadcasts interference on that same frequency. It won't stop their weapons completely, but it should make them much less effective. Tony smiled with approval. That's exactly the kind of thinking that makes humans dangerous. The Kithara would never think to modify captured technology so quickly. Lisa looked around the room at the faces of her fellow colonists. These were not warriors, but they were smart, determined people who had learned to work together. All right, here's the plan. We're going to hunt the hunters. The colonists had spent the night preparing for battle. They had turned their mining equipment into weapons, using explosive charges and heavy machinery to create a defensive perimeter around the colony. But Lisa knew that just defending would not be enough. We need to capture their leader, she continued. Tony says the Kithara have a strict hierarchy. If we can take their commander prisoner, the others might surrender. Jake activated his jamming device. I've got 8 more of these ready to go. We can set up a grid around the crash site that will disrupt their weapons. What about their shields? Asked one of the colonists. Maria answered. The shields are powerful, but use a lot of energy. If we can force them to keep their shields up for long periods, their power cells will drain. Tony stood up. I volunteer to lead the assault team. I know their equipment and their tactics better than anyone. No, Lisa said firmly. You're too valuable as an advisor. I'll lead the assault team. Dr. Rodriguez cleared his throat. I've been studying the alien technology we recovered from the crash. Their equipment is advanced, but it's also very specialized. They have weapons designed for hunting, not for warfare. What's the difference? Jake asked. Hunting weapons are designed to capture or kill individual targets cleanly, Dr. Rodriguez explained. Warfare weapons are designed to destroy enemies who are fighting back. The Kithara have never needed to fight a real war. Lisa nodded with understanding. So they're not prepared for the kind of fighting we're about to give them. Meanwhile, in the alien camp near the crash site, Commander Vex Thalen was discovering the truth of the humans' words. His hunting party was in chaos. The crash had destroyed most of their equipment, and the survivors were arguing about what to do next. We should call for rescue, suggested one of the hunters. Our communication array is destroyed, but we could build a signal beacon from the wreckage. No, Vex Thalen replied coldly. We cannot return to the homeworld empty-handed. The shame would be unbearable. Another hunter spoke up. Then what do we do? The humans have proven more dangerous than any prey we have ever hunted. Vex Thalen's large eyes burned with anger. We adapt. We learn. We prove that the Kithara are still the greatest hunters in the galaxy. But privately, the commander was beginning to doubt his own words. The humans had outwitted him at every turn. They had sabotaged his ship, rescued their people, and now they were preparing to attack. This was not how hunts were supposed to go. Back at the colony, the assault team was ready to move out. Lisa wore makeshift armor constructed from mining equipment. Jake carried his jamming device and a backpack full of explosive charges. A dozen other colonists had volunteered to join the attack, all carrying improvised weapons and determined expressions. Remember, Lisa said as they prepared to leave, we want to capture their leader alive if possible. Dead aliens can't tell us about other hunting parties or help us contact their home world. Tony handed Lisa a small device. This is a translator I built from their computer systems. It won't be perfect, but it should help you communicate with them. The assault team moved out under cover of darkness, using the rough terrain to approach the crash site without being detected. Jake's jamming devices were already in position, creating an invisible net of interference around the alien camp dot as they crept closer to the wreckage. Lisa could see the Kithara moving around their camp. The aliens had posted guards, but they were watching the wrong directions. They expected an attack from the colony, not from the hills surrounding the crash site. Positions, Lisa whispered into her radio. The assault team spread out in a wide circle around the alien camp. Commander Vex Thalen was examining a damaged piece of equipment when Jake's jamming field activated. The alien's energy weapon suddenly went dead in his hands. Around the camp, other Kithara were discovering the same problem. We are under attack, Vex Thalen announced, but his voice lacked its usual confidence. Activate personal shields. Hey. Aliens tried to power up their protective shields, but Jake's jamming field was interfering with those systems as well. The shields flickered on and off, draining power without providing reliable protection. Now, Lisa spoke into her radio, the colonists attacked from all sides at once. They used mining charges to create explosions that scattered the aliens, then moved in with improvised weapons. The Kithara, accustomed to hunting prey that ran away, were completely unprepared for organized resistance. Jake detonated charges that collapsed part of the ship's wreckage, trapping several aliens inside. Maria, who had insisted on joining the assault despite her recent captivity, used her knowledge of alien technology to disable their remaining equipment. The battle was brief but decisive. Within minutes, most of the surviving Kithara were captured or wounded. Commander Vex Thalen found himself surrounded by humans carrying weapons made from mining tools, his own advanced technology useless against their crude but effective jamming devices. "You are defeated," Lisa said, using Tony's translator device. "Surrender now, and we will treat you with mercy." Vex Thalen looked around at his captured hunting party. For the first time in his long life, he was the prey instead of the predator. The humans had not just defeated him. They had outthought him, outfought him, and proven that intelligence and determination could overcome technological superiority. "Surrender," he said quietly, the words bitter in his alien throat. The hunt was over, but the real challenge was just beginning. The humans had won this battle, but they knew that other Kithara hunting parties were still out there, threatening human colonies and other innocent species throughout the galaxy. It was time to turn the tables completely. The hunted were about to become the hunters. Commander Vex Thalen sat in the makeshift prison cell that the humans had built from mining equipment. The proud alien hunter stared at the floor, his large black eyes reflecting a mixture of shame and confusion. He had never been captured before. In hundreds of hunts across dozens of worlds, he had always been the predator. Lisa Parker entered the cell, carrying a chair and Tony's translation device. She sat down across from the alien commander and activated the translator. "We need to talk," she said simply. Vex Thalen looked up at her with what might have been curiosity. "You did not kill me. Why?" "Because dead enemies can't give us information," Lisa replied. "We need to know about other hunting parties. How many ships like yours are out there?" The alien was quiet for a long moment. "Many," he finally said. "The Kithara have been hunting across the galaxy for centuries. We have dozens of ships, hundreds of hunters." Lisa felt a chill run down her spine. "How many species have you hunted?" "All of them," Vex Thalen said with a trace of his old pride. "Every intelligent species we have encountered becomes our prey." "It is our way." "Not anymore," Lisa said firmly. "Your way ends here." Meanwhile, in the colony's workshop, Jake Morrison was working with Maria Santos and Dr. Rodriguez to understand the alien technology they had captured. The ship's wreckage contained advanced computers, weapon systems, and communication equipment that was centuries ahead of human technology. "This is incredible," Dr. Rodriguez said as he studied an alien energy weapon. "The power source is smaller than a battery, but generates more energy than our entire colony." Jake was focused on the ship's communication array. "If we can repair this, we might be able to contact other human colonies and warn them about the Kithara." Maria looked up from the navigation computer she was examining. "Better than that. This contains star maps showing the locations of other hunting parties. We could warn entire species about what's coming." Tony Blake entered the workshop carrying a tablet computer. "I've been talking to the other captured aliens. Most of them are just following orders, but they're all terrified of their commander. The Kithara society is built entirely around the idea that they're superior to everyone else." "What happens when that idea is proven wrong?" Jake asked. "That's what we're about to find out," Tony replied with a grim smile. Over the following days, the colonists worked tirelessly to repair and modify the alien technology. Jake's engineering skills, combined with Maria's piloting knowledge and Dr. Rodriguez's scientific expertise, allowed them to accomplish things that should have been impossible. They rebuilt the communication array using human engineering principles. The original alien design was elegant but fragile. The human version was crude but reliable. Within a week, they had established contact with human colonies throughout the sector. "This is Haven Point calling all human settlements," Maria spoke into the modified communicator. "We have urgent information about an alien threat." The responses came quickly. Colony after colony reported strange disappearances, unexplained energy readings, and missing ships. The pattern was clear. The Kithara had been hunting humans across dozens of worlds, but the humans were ready to fight back now. Lisa brought Commander Vex Thalen to the communication center. The alien watched in amazement as the humans coordinated. A galaxy-wide defense network using his own technology. "Impossible," he whispered. "You cannot understand our systems so quickly." "You keep saying that," Lisa replied. "But we keep proving you wrong." Jake looked up from his work. "The communication network is ready. We can now warn every human colony and share our jamming technology." Dr. Rodriguez had been studying the captured Kithara, weapons and shields. "I've figured out how to reverse engineer their energy systems. We can build better defenses and weapons using their own principles." Tony was examining the star maps from the alien ship. "According to this data, there are Kithara hunting parties operating in 12 different sectors. But there's something else. They have established hunting preserves on uninhabited planets where they keep captured species." Maria looked at the data with horror. "You mean there are prison planets full of people from different species?" "Hundreds of them," Tony confirmed. "The Kithara have been collecting intelligent life for centuries." Lisa turned to Commander Vex Thalen. "You're going to help us free them." The alien commander's eyes widened. "I will not betray my own species." "You already have," Lisa said calmly. "The moment you underestimated us, you betrayed everything the Kithara claim to believe. You've proven that the superior species can be defeated by supposedly inferior prey." Vex Thalen was silent for a long moment. "What do you want from me?" "Access codes to the prison planets, ship locations, communication protocols, everything we need to free the people you've captured." "And if I refuse?" Lisa's expression was hard. "Then you'll spend the rest of your life in a human prison, knowing that your people will continue to be hunted by species you thought were helpless." The alien commander realized he had no choice. His entire worldview had been shattered by these humans. They had turned his greatest hunt into his greatest defeat. "Very well," he said quietly. "I will provide the information you need." Within days, the human colonies had transformed from prey into hunters. Using the captured alien technology and Vex Thalen's codes, they launched coordinated attacks on Kithara ships throughout human space. The aliens, accustomed to hunting helpless prey, were completely unprepared for organized resistance. Human ships, equipped with alien jamming technology, struck without warning. Kithara hunters found their weapons useless and their shields failing, just as they prepared to capture new victims. But the humans did not stop with just defending themselves. They used the alien star maps to locate the prison planets and began rescue missions on a massive scale. Jake Morrison found himself leading a rescue fleet toward one of the largest prison planets. The modified human ships, now equipped with hybrid human-alien technology, moved through space with unprecedented speed and stealth. Approaching the target planet, Maria reported from the pilot's seat. "I'm detecting thousands of life signs on the surface." Dr. Rodriguez monitored the alien technology they had integrated into their ships. "The Kithara garrison is small. They never expected anyone to find this place." The rescue mission was swift and decisive. The Kithara guards, facing organized resistance for the first time in their lives, surrendered quickly. On the planet's surface, the rescue teams found representatives of dozens of different alien species, some of whom had been captive for decades. "You are free," Jake announced through the universal translator they had built. The Cathara will hunt no more. Among the freed prisoners was an elderly being from a species called the Zenthari. The Cathara took my people 50 years ago, he said in amazement. We thought we would die in captivity. Not anymore, Jake replied. We're going to make sure this never happens again. Back on Haven Point, Lisa was coordinating similar rescue missions across the galaxy. The communication network that Jake had built was now connecting dozens of species, all working together to end the Cathara hunting culture. Commander Vex Thalen watched the coordination efforts with something that might have been admiration. You have done in weeks what should have taken centuries, he said to Lisa. How is this possible? Because we work together, Lisa replied. The Cathara see other species as prey to be collected. We see them as allies to be protected. Tony Blake had been analyzing the data from all the rescue missions. We freed over 50,000 beings from Cathara prison planets. But more importantly, we've shown the galaxy that the hunters can be defeated. The news spread quickly through Cathara space. For the first time in their long history, the proud hunting species faced organized resistance. Their ships were being captured, their technology turned against them, and their victims were fighting back. Many Cathara hunting parties simply gave up. They had defined themselves as superior beings, and that definition no longer made sense. Some tried to continue hunting, but they found that their former prey had been warned and armed with anti-Cathara technology. Within 6 months, the great hunt was over. The Cathara Empire, built on the subjugation of other species, collapsed. As their victims became their equals, Commander Vex Thalen was eventually released from human custody. But he chose to remain on Haven Point. He spent his remaining years helping the freed species rebuild their civilizations and teaching others about the dangers of believing in racial superiority. Jake Morrison became the coordinator of the new Galactic Defense Network, using his engineering skills to help former prey species defend themselves. Maria Santos led exploration missions to find more prison planets and rescue survivors. Dr. Rodriguez worked to heal the physical and psychological wounds of the freed prisoners. Lisa Parker established the first interspecies peacekeeping force, ensuring that no single species could ever again hunt others with impunity. The mining colony of Haven Point became a symbol of hope throughout the galaxy. It was the place where the hunted had become the hunters, where the weak had proven stronger than the strong, and where the idea of superior and inferior species had been forever destroyed. The Cathara had thought hunting humans would be their greatest triumph. Instead, it became their final defeat. The game had indeed backfired badly, but from that failure came something